Land, welcome back to Real Crypto. Thanks for joining me once again today. All right, so a little bit has passed, a little bit of time has passed since the Bitcoin pop, and we can see the action now. We can kind of see the direction Bitcoin is going, and I don't necessarily mean just the general, slow upward trajectory. What I'm referring to is the action after the pop. When you have a big pop like this, keep in mind, guys, this is a huge pop. When you have the pops like this, you have to keep in mind what happens afterwards, because that kind of gives you the story, as it gives you the direction as to what could happen next. Now I want you to notice something here. So Bitcoin has a rising channel right now. If you guys have been involved with the channel for any period of time, what does a rising channel do? It breaks down. Rising channels break to the downside. That's their general nature. Now I want you to notice something else here. I want you to notice how this pop and this consolidation looks a lot like this pop and this consolidation. Did anyone else put that together, or was that just me? All right, now that they're not exact clones of one another, as you can see here. There's obviously differences. This pop was a little more aggressive, especially on the volume side. But ever since we had the pop, if you notice this kind of rising tight channel action. Now this went on to form a head and shoulders pattern. I'm not sure if that is the future here. That is a possibility, but we're at least due a next leg up. And you can see here what happened is we had, let me zoom in over here. What we had here is we had a pretty decent little declining trend line going on here, leading us, we had a higher trend line here. We had we had a poke to the downside here, testing the trend line. We had a float up. We had a sideways consolidation. Then we had a further breakout into some highs. Now we're doing the same thing over here, guys. The same thing. We have a declining trend line. We have a spike down, a little flat area. Now we're floating up again. These things rhyme. They don't look exactly the same, but the general psychology behind these moves are the same. The general psychology behind these are exactly the same, and we should be, I would assume, having another leg higher here in the near future. I don't know exactly when, don't know exactly how, but that is in the cards. That is next, all right? Now, something that's been interesting since Bitcoin has kind of been rallying, we thought we would have altcoin season, Bitcoin being up here kind of going sideways. Maybe too much money is flowing into Bitcoin and is really leading some of these altcoins to fail. We have Verge really failing its pattern here that was looking fairly healthy until the volume came in and took us lower, which is not what you want to see. We have Ven over here living lower inside this let me zoom out here so you can get some perspective. There's a cup with handle here in Ven, and we moved back into the handle. We didn't get a breakout in Ven. Now we have WAN here, which had a move higher, and we talked in the power hour about not getting involved up here, just basically due to the overall height it's taken. That it could be due to base out, and we're seeing that basing here. So Bitcoin rallying, WAN falling. All right. So IOTA, a little bit different change in IOTA here. IOTA is moving up a little in concert with Bitcoin, but keep in mind, guys, IOTA has been beat down so badly. IOTA's really just been the redheaded stepchild of the large cap crypto names, and a little bounce here isn't to be unexpected. But IOTA, one of the more healthy looking names. You can see how IOTA is curling up, right? But one of the few ones that are kind of doing that. All right, what else do I have here? I've got ADA here. ADA curling up a little bit here. We talked about the action up here and letting it play out and see what's what. And it's holding high. It actually dropped lower since we last talked. I think we were talking about it up here. We said wait and see what happens. It drops lower. And then we have lower volume. Now we have a nice pop here, although volume isn't exceptional. We're still waiting on ADA. But we're not getting any kind of real rallies. The real rallies already happened, guys. The ones we talked about a couple weeks ago. We talked about WAN. That had a good run. We talked about Verge. We talked about ONT. We talked about EOS a little late on EOS, but, we mentioned it. ICX here, one that looks very healthy, but again, pulling in back, although volume is looking really, really nice down here. You really want to keep an eye on ICX. Maybe throw an alert here at kind of the 33,000 Satoshi level in case the thing starts to get bottom action, go sideways, and curl higher. You want to give yourself an ample opportunity to potentially take a trade. But ICX not really in the base, but bouncing around this support area here. Let me extend this out. Something like that, right? So this particular trend line, living at the 32,275 level. That's where I have this particular trend line, give or take, obviously, give or take. What else do we have here? We have BNB. So BNB actually looked like it finally broke out of this channel that it was in. BNB was stuck in a channel here, broke down, came into the channel, and then came up here and flagged. We talked about this in an extreme stream the other day, actually. One of the last things we talked about, someone mentioned BNB, and we had a nice bull flag here, and since it's gone up higher. BNB right now looks like it put in a little bottoming candle here, but this is just kind of, it's consolidating here, so we don't know if it's going to roll over lower again. The volume hasn't really picked up with any kind of gusto, or if it continues higher. Your general buy point at this particular moment in time would be over this high, which is the 1380 level, or somewhere around there, with good volume proceeding into highs. All right, and then that's BNB again. So let's take a look at some of the other larger altcoins, Ethereum and Litecoin. What are those doing? So we've got Ethereum here really performing nicely coming out of this low area. Ethereum bouncing up. We have a nice flag here. The flag is forming, volumes declining. We can't expect Ethereum to continue this move. I would expect this to continue kind of in concert with Bitcoin maybe. I don't know if that's the catalyst that's going to move Ethereum higher here, but nice flag, good volume area here. Could be interesting going forward. I don't anticipating it getting much lower. The way that Bitcoin's behaving really well. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are new to crypto or just forgot, even when Bitcoin rallies, sometimes altcoins fall as well because all the money gets sucked into Bitcoin. So, but Ethereum looking very strong here. Strength begets strength in the market, and so you can expect Ethereum more than likely to continue higher. Maybe even, taking a measured move here. Let's go ahead and do that. Figure out where we could possibly be headed. Maybe up here towards the 610, 620, 640 area, something like that. So maybe up here towards the 620. Let's just call it 625. All right, maybe the next step for Ethereum, and we'll have to revisit and see what happens then. We're going to look at Litecoin next, and I think we're going to end here on Litecoin. So we talk about strength begets strength. Litecoin has not been the strongest coming out of this low basing area. So you maybe can anticipate a little bit less strength out of Litecoin. But that being said, Litecoin does now have a cup and a handle formed. All right, you can definitely see the handle forming right there. Here's your cup, here's your handle, here's your prior uptrend. All right, so cup with handle, prior uptrend. Let this thing bounce up. Maybe gets up here towards the 160 level, 150. If this thing likes to bounce up out of here, pretty decent potential move in Litecoin. Now that we have a little bit of green popping in here. A little bit of green looking good. Looking better than it was just a few hours ago, actually. Looking better than it was just a few hours ago. But overall, Litecoin could be going higher. Ethereum could be going higher. The overall market's looking pretty bullish here. I'm not 100% sold on the bull case overall in the markets. One main difference, however, between the 2013, 2014, 2015 market and today is altcoins. I think that may be a little under-mentioned, the fact that we now have altcoins that maybe we can throw some strength into altcoins. So maybe some of the money's going into alts and staying out of Bitcoin. Maybe that's a possibility. I just kind of thought about that right there. So, all right, guys, there you go. Thanks for joining me. We have Bitcoin rallying here. I would anticipate another pop-up at least. Like I said, possibly doing exactly what it did over here. We'll see if we get a head and shoulders or if we roll over out of this next higher consolidation. And if you're wondering where my targets are, I just noticed those aren't here. I have two higher side targets for Bitcoin as of this moment in time. Generally, though, just to be honest with you, I'm not completely convinced that we're out of the overall bear market. I do think we get up here towards the 9,100 to 9,200 level. If we can somehow surpass that, 9,900 towards 10,000 probably would be the next area that we would be most likely to roll back over again. Just keep in mind, we are still in a bear market. One pop does not make a bull market, but we can trade it, guys. We can trade it. Now, if you're so inclined to take Bitcoin because you're scared of missing out on the overall bottom in Bitcoin, I do recommend getting into Bitcoin. I do recommend taking at least a smaller position so you have some exposure. And then if we do get higher and roll over, you can take that exposure off of the table. But overall, Bitcoin being the bellwether of cryptocurrencies, we don't have that lower capitulation that we actually needed to create a bottom. And we're getting the bulls excited here, which will actually lead us to lower prices. That's my take on the market. Take it or leave it. And I'm sure we'll hear some nice comments in the comments section below. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about. And thanks for joining me today, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you next time.